Hello and welcome to CPO Innovations. My name is Kushal Nagaraj. I currently head the India procurement team for JCPenney Services India. I'm in conversation with the flamboyant Abhishek Mathur from Cisco. Just a little bit of background. I've worked with Abhishek when I was with IBM, and he's an exceptional leader. And it's a privilege for me to be here and interviewing him. And I hope that at the end of this conversation, you have certain nuggets of wisdom that you can take away from the procurement industry veteran. Abhishek, welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
With you. And as a person who started, about 16 years back, we all looked up to you as a leader, and you have paved the way for many aspirants in this industry. So you have been in this industry for a very long time. So my first question to you is, what, according to you, has transformed in this procurement industry?
First of all, glad to meet you again, right? And it's my pleasure. Look, I can confidently say I've spent 2 decades in procurement, all of indirect, and I had this opportunity to work for IBM for very long, almost 19 plus years.
Wow.
And now I decided to make a change and try other stuff, and I joined Cisco. Now, I was fortunate enough to spend this time when the procurement as a domain and as an industry was really going through the entire transformation.
Wonderful.
I have, when I joined, when I started my career in procurement, I started with the paper requisitions.
Yes.
And then I saw, e-demand business, e-procurement, we started getting these tools. So I saw this whole transformation from paper to electronic, and now we are talking about cognitive procurement, we are talking about using artificial intelligence in procurement and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it has all happened in front of my eyes, and I'm just pure lucky and fortunate to be around there.
Right.
And I don't know how much I would say I've contributed to it, but I have definitely witnessed this whole transformation, and in bits and pieces somewhere supported it. And I'm glad that we have come so far that from an accidental place for majority of us as procurement, right? We all end up accidentally, I would say, majority if not all. Now it has become a career choice. Now it has become a domain where our people, our youngsters are planning to get into procurement.
Right.
So what else we need? It's like a new industry, right?
Absolutely. And I think there's been a paradigm shift in the way procurement department has been viewed, right? Earlier, we were just a enabler, a cost-saving department, somebody to purchase for. While right now, as you rightly mentioned, it's more into cognitive mode, where I think even in the the CXO desk, CPOs are making their voice heard. We are involved in the next 10 years vision of the company, and I see the great transformation which never used to happen probably a decade back. And there are many people in the industry, veterans, who say negotiation should be left to the system. What do you say about that?
Well, I would say negotiations have many flavors, right? Now, over the period of time, you would see that when a negotiation comes to our mind as procurement professional, we always, most of the time stick to just pricing, right? And that is what has to change, or that is what is changing, right? It has to go beyond price, right? It's about the cost of opportunity, right? We call it a TCO, total cost of opportunity, in terms of what exactly the end-to-end sourcing process is, right? It's beyond price point. It includes several aspects of it. Sometimes we tend to ignore, that there are components within the cost, right, which we should look at. And I think it's a two-way process, as you said. I mean, people come to procurement just by having one expectation. They're saying reduce the price, right? And they tend to ignore your 60% of rest of it, which is the cost, right? So just to sum up, I think it's just not price, it's just not one unit price of the product or service, but I think we should look at it as holistic, and I think it's changing. I have personally experienced that at least the companies I have worked now look at it more holistically than before, and they realize and acknowledge that procurement can certainly do a value
much
add.
better. And I think one of the kryptonites of procurement, a professional like me and you, is when there's less planning, but we're always given the task at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
So how do you inculcate this behavioral change in the business owners to plan well in advance so that we're not just purchasing, but we're adding value to the business?
See, I think it's a heavy question, I would say, right? Because it's just not transactional when you say that they are coming on the 11th hour.
Right.
I think it's a two-way game,
Yeah.
right? And we have talked about it numerous times that how procurement and procurement professionals have to penetrate through into the business units, right, to earn that chair on the table.
Yes.
Right? It's not easy, it's easier said than done, right? But if you showcase your talent, if you showcase your value add, I have seen situations changes 180 degree.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
From they coming to last moment, they looking at you as an order placement agency. Then they calling you as soon as they have an idea in mind.
Perfect.
You are invited, right?
Yes.
So you now have become a permanent arm.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To their organization.
Right.
They don't look at you as a service provider or as a corporate function.
Yes.
You are now part of the core team, and
Absolutely.
this has happened. It's happening, and there are a lot of companies who are catching up and realizing that it certainly give back a lot of value add.
Absolutely, and I think the industry as such, right? We are at the forefront and to understand what the suppliers bring to the table, right? So as part of many trade shows, the procurement professional, when they attend, they get to know what purchases, what products are there, what services that there's an evolution in technology that's coming up our way. My question to you is, how easy is it for a procurement professional to make this change in terms of if you have to invest in a technology for procurement in terms of getting a reverse auction tool, getting RPA bots, or heavily investing in cognitive or AI or machine learning, how easy is it for a person in the procurement team to create a business case for the business to invest so that they can see an ROI over a period of time?
Well, one, I have to tell you that these decisions has to happen at a level where there are decision makers within the company sit down. And I have seen in many cases that these decisions can only conclude in your favor. When I say your, in procurement favor, when you have your stakeholders align in terms of what benefit that particular technology adoption or transformation brings to their business. Right? Because if you are unable to sell the contribution or the features it will bring onto the table, both hard and soft, it will take ages for you to convince that budget holder, be it the CFO or the business unit, right? Because procurement normally don't have that large sum of money to invest, right? So you heavily rely on your CFOs or your business counterparts to invest on you. And it's a bit of a selling, I would say, that you sell what brings for them onto the table, right? And let me give you an example that technology adoption, can give you several benefits. I mean, it's just not that experience. Of course, the experience changes if you are working on your legacy tools and now you are buying a top technology from the industry. So one is experience, but I have realized that it goes much beyond that just experience, right? Your compliance power, your view of how the end-to-end, whole strategic sourcing come operations working suddenly goes so high that you can now identify those pockets where you need to invest more. Right? And it brings down the cycle time, the overall cost, and whatnot. So I'm a big fan of technology adoption. I do acknowledge that it isn't easy because it needs investment. But if you do a good selling back upwards, I think you can get that support.
I think you hit the target when you said it takes time, but if you're not investing in the new technologies, you will definitely be left behind.
Yeah, I would say by now, I mean, if you haven't already done for your company, there are several anecdotes, there are several real cases which you can use, right? I mean, back then when we did in these large organizations, we don't have so much of use cases, but now you have use cases. So use them. to build your business case and present it to them. I think that helps.
Absolutely. And traditionally, I think procurement team is viewed as budget minus the cost of the product or services is considered the value add the procurement professional brings to the table. I personally completely disagree with that, because you could be negotiating a $100 million deal and closing it out at 80 million. However, you might be adding another 70 million of value period of time. Could be through your AMCs, could be through your value adds, could be through, let's say, training hours that you can buy if you're buying IT products.
Yeah.
So how do you convince your business owner that you have brought value not just from reducing the budget to the cost of the PO, but you added more to the table?
Good questions. And I have to tell you that sometimes it's little tricky on how you report back your contribution to the budget owners.
Right.
And most often than not, we tend to not convey that message back. Right. You stick your pricing, you stick to your what have you have saved, through the sourcing process and all. But I think we should report back all the necessary ingredients you have looked at. What sort of cost analysis you did, what sort of terms and conditions, be it warranty, be it guarantee, be it after sales service, right? Be it as simple as the quality or the audit or the compliance, right? I mean, you would see that the compliance is one big big ticket item, which our CXOs are looking at the CPOs to deliver.
Of course.
Right. So at whatever level you are in procurement, that becomes your priority.
Right.
So I think that helps. Now I understand. I mean, I want to be reasonable to our friends in procurement that it takes a little bit of a smart move on how you document things and how you acknowledge. But I think you should do that.
Wonderful. I completely agree to you. With that, I'll leave this entire conversation to a whole. And thank you so much, Abhishek.
My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, and it's really nice seeing you again.
Same here.
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.